15 years. It has been 15 years since Bungie released Halo Reach, their final entry in the Halo franchise. Halo Reach is a special game. For those of us who missed out on the glory days of Halo 2 and Halo 3, Halo Reach was our Halo game. Now, of course, I had played Halo before Halo Reach. I remember eagerly going over to friends' houses when I was in middle school just for the chance to play Halo 3 split screen, and I even was able to get Halo 2 Vista and Halo Combat Evolved on PC, and I played them for hours and hours on my family's horrible home PC in an 800 by 600 resolution that could barely run them in 30 frames per second. But it didn't matter, because I could play Halo at home. And so when I saw the marketing campaign for Halo Reach kick off in 2009 and 2010, I knew, before I had even played it, that Halo Reach was going to be the greatest video game of all time. And then, when I was in 8th grade, my parents told me that if I behaved and got good grades, they would get me an Xbox 360. So of course, I listened. And you'll be unsurprised to know that my grades were very good that year. And I remember going into Best Buy on September 18th, the Saturday of the week that Halo Reach released, and my dad and I walked out with the Halo Reach exclusive Xbox 360 console. And I played Halo Reach for countless of hours. And here I am, 15 years later, still playing Halo Reach. Because as I said, Halo Reach is a special game. But why is that? Am I just looking at Halo Reach through the nostalgia-tinted glasses of my youth? Well, yes, but I'm also right. Halo Reach is a truly special game, because it marks the high point of a lost era of gaming. An era where the Xbox brand was special, and meant something more than just Xbox Game Pass. An era where games were made by passionate teams that wanted to deliver innovative and fun experiences. An era where games were actually games and not just microtransaction stores with games attached to them. An era where games could launch with rich feature sets that could be expected to work at release. Halo Reach marks the high point of the Xbox 360 generation. An era from about 2009 to 2011. An era defined by games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare's 1 and 2, Call of Duty Black Ops, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Halo 3 ODST, Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, Skyrim and Dark Souls. An era where games were at their peak creatively in the modern era. And Halo Reach sits in the center of all of that. There is a definitive before Halo Reach and after Halo Reach era in gaming. Something that is truly special. So today, please join me as we look back together on Halo Reach and its legacy. If you had asked me a few years ago what I thought the best Halo campaign was, I probably would have told you Halo 2 or Halo Reach. But then a few years ago, I did an all-nighter run-through of Halo 3's legendary campaign. And when I finished it, I thought, well damn, maybe Halo 3 is actually the best Halo game after all. But then some of you in the comments might be like, actually, no, I'm a hipster and Halo 3 ODST has the best campaign. And honestly, you could probably make a lot of compelling arguments why that's the case. But then some of you might also be in the comments and be like, no, Halo 4 has the best campaign. And that's when you get promptly excommunicated from the friends group. No, I'm just kidding. I actually like Halo 4, which is apparently a really big hot take, so maybe I'll make a Halo 4 hot take video at some point. Really compelling case for any of the Bungie titles being the best Halo campaign. But that's not what I'm here to do today. I'm not here to tell you that Halo Reach has the best Halo campaign, but it is a phenomenal first-person shooter campaign. It really reminds us of a time when the FPS campaign mattered, and it wasn't just a tacked-on afterthought. Halo Reach has an incredible campaign due to its compelling story that is brought to life by great characters and the slick gameplay and rich environments that you get to play it through. To start off with, the story of Halo Reach is far different than that of the original trilogy. It does not lean nearly as much into the sci-fi fantasy elements that defined Bungie's first 3 games, as it doesn't focus on things like the horror aspects of the Flood or the inner workings of Covenant politics that you see in Halo 2. And so I can understand why fans of the original games may not enjoy Halo Reach's story quite as much. But I would argue that Halo Reach's story should be enjoyed for what it is. It is not a sci-fi space opera. Rather, it is the story of a military campaign. Specifically, it is the military campaign of the losing side, which you are fighting alongside. And as such, it has a far more gritty and militaristic tone than that of the original trilogy. And this really fits with the era in which the game came out. Of course, in gaming, you have the incredible success of Call of Duty's Modern Warfare's 1 and 2, and within the United States at the time, the Global War on Terror, or the GWOT era, as many military veterans will refer to it as, was still ongoing. We were winding down in Iraq at the time, as Obama had just been recently elected president, but soon we would still be stuck in the quagmire of Afghanistan, and we weren't quite fully out of Iraq yet. So the GWOT era was fully on display, not only within pop culture, but also it was in the cultural zeitgeist of the time. Halo Reach beautifully kind of marries this GWOT sensibility into the game, but also maintains that core essence of what Halo is. As such, Halo Reach has a compelling story within its own right, as it has a uniquely more militaristic feel to it than the other Halo games. And this story is ultimately brought to life by the members of Noble Team, the Spartan squad that you fight alongside in the Defense of Reach. Each one of these characters looks cool and fits a unique military archetype, whether it's Kat, the ever-witty communication specialist, George, the affable but tough machine gunner, June, the silent marksman, or Emil, that guy in your fire team that's kind of crazy, but you're glad he's on your side and not the enemy team. And last but not least, Carter, the strong-willed commander of Noble Team, who shows throughout the course of the campaign that he's always willing to put his team before himself, risking his reputation, safety, and even life for the sake of his men. It's been really interesting to play through this game again after my military experience, as all of the different interactions between the different members of Noble Team feel more believable to me. Whether it's Emil and George jabbing at one another and really not seeing eye to eye.
Big man forgets what he is sometimes.
She just lost her father. She needs a full psychiatric workup.
She's not the only one.
Lock it down, both of you.
Whether it's Kat and her snarkiness towards you as the newest member of the Noble Team.
Plasma damage.
Found something.
I'll take that, Six. Not your domain.
Or whether it's Carter, sticking up for his team and taking their suggestions and bringing them to command, even if it's putting his own reputation at risk.
All we need is a green light from Holland.
Good luck with that.
You're the one asking him.
Well, there's no way in hell he's gonna go for this.
All of these different interactions make Noble Team feel as if they're a real military unit. And because you are the newest member of Noble Team, you really begin to feel like you're a part of this elite fire team. But more than just the interactions and what's written in the story, what really invests the player into these characters is the incredible voice acting of each of the different members of Noble Team. It really invests you, the player, in each one of their respective fates, as they all feel like believable characters.
Noble, you've got a situation.
Mother! We can get past this, sir.
No, you can't. Not without help.
Commander, You don't have the firepower.
I've got the math.
Solid copy. Hit 'em hard, boss.
You're on your own, Noble. Carter out.
But the voice acting goes beyond just Noble Team. Of course, they are the highlights of the voice acting. But throughout the entire campaign, the voice acting is truly top tier. Whether it's, again, the individual members of Noble Team, or probably one of the more haunting moments of the campaign, the citizens evacuating on Exodus.
Fox Actual, should we send search and rescue birds?
Negative, dispatch. No point.
Overall, the voice acting brings a large amount of gravity to this campaign, and it makes it feel believable and personal. Except for this guy.
Mayday, 3 Charlie 6. Does anyone read? We were attacked by Covenant forces. The Covenant is on reach. I repeat, the Covenant is on reach. Repeat, the Covenant is on reach. Repeat, the Covenant is on reach.
Troopers?
Seriously, this guy really phoned this line in. Like, come on, Marty, what are we doing?
No disrespect, but don't we have more important?
Beyond just the voice acting in the story, though, you get to experience this entire story unfold across the entire planet of Reach, and have some truly epic gameplay moments throughout. Whether you're sneaking around on Nightfall in an excellent ode to Halo Combat Evolved's Truth and Reconciliation mission, whether you're storming the Spire,
Frigate Grafton is on station ready to kill that spire. But first, we need to power down its shield.
Understood. 6. I'll hold these bosses off. You find a way to jump the spire.
whether you're fighting the Covenant in the underground glaciers underneath Oni's sword base on the mission, the package, or you're flying through the haunted skyscrapers of New Alexandria as they burn amidst the Covenant invasion. These are just some of the different environments you get to experience this incredible gameplay loop in. As always, the core gameplay of Halo returns, with the trinity of guns, grenades, and melee. But there's more to the sandbox here than there has been in other Halo games, specifically with the introduction of armor abilities. Now, armor abilities are controversial in the Halo community, and with Halo Reach being the first game that introduced them, this was exceptionally controversial at release. And I'll talk more about this controversy specifically when I get into the multiplayer section of the video. However, after replaying the Halo Reach campaign, I really think that armor abilities work well in the campaign, as they create more options for you as the player to interact in this player versus environment gameplay. Whether you're running past enemies with sprint to speed run the level or rush to a power weapon, whether you're confusing the AI with hologram, or falling from deathly heights only to save yourself at the last minute with the jetpack. Using the bubble shield as improvised cover or to heal yourself. All of these different abilities add a new layer of fun to the already incredible PvE experience, and they marry together well with the stellar gunplay of the Halo franchise. But what is the gunplay of Halo Reach? Well, it is the classic Halo gunplay that you know and love. And that gunplay is brought to life by the excellent sandbox of weapons included in Halo Reach. All of the different weapons are diverse and fun. Of course, we have our returning favorites like the sniper rifle.
Negative. Think of a multi-deck charge on it. Command is planning something big.
The shotgun. The rocket launcher.
Overkill.
The Spartan laser. The Covenant energy sword, and many others.
Holland to Savannah. Enemy comm relay is
But beyond just the returning favorites, we have excellent new weapons, such as the grenade launcher, which is a really fun weapon once you get the timing down, both in the campaign and in multiplayer. You have the DMR, which is somewhat controversial as the battle rifle was very well loved, and the introduction of Bloom in Halo Reach was very controversial. However, I believe the DMR, especially at this date now, is almost considered in and of itself a classic Halo weapon, which makes me feel old, if I'm being totally honest. Other new weapons we have include the Covenant Plasma Launcher, and of course, the Needle Rifle, probably one of my favorite weapons in any Halo game. It combines the accuracy of the Covenant Carbine with the super combinability of the Needler, and I think it's a real shame that we didn't see this weapon in later installments in the Halo franchise. And no, the rec packs from Halo 5 don't count, before you put it in the comments. And of course, you can put all of these weapons, old and new, to good use in battling the Covenant. The enemy AI in Halo Reach is top tier, and possibly the best we've seen out of any Bungie Halo game. Whether you're headshotting grunts or super combining brutes, you will always be having a fun time when tackling the challenges that the enemy AI throws at you in this game. But perhaps the best part of Halo Reach is the return of the elites. This is probably the best aspect of Halo Reach's sandbox. Halo 3 is undeniably one of the best first-person shooter campaigns of all time. But there is something somewhat missing, you could say, due to the absence of the elites and the classic encounters they created in Halos 1 and 2. So to have them come back for Bungie's swan song was absolutely appropriate. You truly feel like you are dueling these elite space warriors as you try to outsmart them and get the upper hand. And these encounters with the elites and their Covenant allies remain fun and engaging throughout the entirety of the campaign. From the very first mission, Winter Contingency, all the way up to the conclusion, and possibly one of the best final missions in any first-person shooter campaign ever, Lone Wolf. All of these different elements of the campaign come together to create something truly special. From the voice acting, to the gunplay, to the different environments that you get to experience it in, all of this comes together to create a fun and memorable experience that stays with the player long after the final credits roll.
Campaign prepares an amazing table, but multiplayer is your meal. I could eat it every goddamn day, forever.
It's like sitting around on the couch with 7 of your buddies, playing Halo multiplayer, trash talking.
2 men enter, the better man leaves. The lesser man is respawning, and that's Halo.
This Vidoc lived rent-free in my head as a teenager. I must have watched it hundreds, if not over 1,000 times. The multiplayer experience of Halo Reach is really special for me. As I said in the intro of this video, unfortunately, I was not able to experience that golden age of Halo 2 and Halo 3 for myself. And so Halo Reach's multiplayer will always have a special place in my heart. And when I was younger, I didn't understand why Halo Reach's multiplayer was so controversial. I remember watching the Vidoc and even playing the game for the first time and thinking, wow, these maps look incredible. Armor abilities are awesome. Bloom is in other shooters, and it makes the gameplay more tactical, and armor abilities also make it even more tactical. Or so I thought. Now, as I've gotten older, I have learned to understand the complaints that classic Halo fans have about the gameplay in Halo Reach and how much of a departure it was from Halo 2 and Halo 3. For those of you who aren't aware about all these complaints that I'm listing, armor abilities, as I mentioned earlier, were brand new to the Halo franchise at this time, and they absolutely made combat more unpredictable and random as a result. The same can be said for Bloom. Bloom made gunfights far more randomized because somebody could just spam the trigger and maybe win. Therefore, all gunfights turned into a frustrating exercise between pro players where they would just spam the trigger and hope somebody got luckier. This was something that was not present in previous entries in the Halo franchise, and as such, the frustration that the competitive scene particularly felt was very warranted. I one time heard a comment online that Halo Reach's multiplayer seemed to be balanced around invasion, and I think that's absolutely true. I think it sums up Halo Reach's multiplayer very well. I think what Bungie was looking to do in Halo Reach was to explore and experiment with fun nuke mechanics and create dynamic moments, and as a result, they were less focused on perfect competitive balance. And with that in mind, the competitive scene did suffer some. Now, with the introduction of some updates and newer playlists later on, such as the MLG playlist with Zero Bloom, I think this addressed some of these complaints. But of course, the game never reached the heights of Halos 2 and 3. But that being said, even with the complaints leveled at Halo Reach's multiplayer, it is still one of the most feature-rich multiplayer modes in any first-person shooter ever made. It has an exhaustive list of modes for nearly every playstyle. Well-designed maps, both from an aesthetic point of view and a gameplay perspective. And the game has near limitless customization options. As such, Halo Reach's multiplayer remains one of the best multiplayer experiences ever made in a first-person shooter. To start off with, Halo Reach shipped with an excellent range of different maps that each excelled at different game modes, whether it's Powerhouse for Team Slayer and Free-for-All, Sword Base for Free-for-All, Countdown for Team Slayer, Boneyard, of course, for BTB and Invasion, and Spire being another standout BTB and Invasion map. These are all really fun environments to play the multiplayer on. But the true strength of Halo Reach's multiplayer, though, is the wide range of modes that were available at launch. Slayer, Capture the Flag, Stockpile, Oddball, Invasion, Infection, Race, SWAT, Team Snipers, and Headhunter. Headhunter, one of my favorite Halo modes of all time. For those of you who don't know, this game mode was essentially kind of like Kill Confirmed from Call of Duty. It just came out a year before Call of Duty actually implemented Kill Confirmed. So it's a real shame this mode has never made a comeback, and I hope one day some Halo developer will put it back into the game. All of these different modes offered something for someone. If you wanted to sweat and be competitive, you could play SWAT or Arena when the game first came out. Or you could sit back and relax and have more fun, playing some of the more casual game modes like Race and Infection. There was truly something for everyone. And all of these modes that I just listed were available on September 14th, the day the game came out. This content wasn't drip-fed to you, it wasn't hid behind season passes or DLC. The vanilla content alone was enough to keep fans entertained for hundreds of thousands of hours, which is something we just don't see anymore in modern first-person shooters. But of course, there was more. So much more. Halo Reach included some of the most robust customization options for a multiplayer shooter possibly ever. Everything from weapon starts, loadout starts, availability of weapons on the map, health levels, jump physics, movement speed. All of these different options allowed fans to create the most insane custom games. and so the players could truly craft their own experience. Again, all on day one. But if PvP wasn't your thing, well, Firefight also returned. I must have spent hundreds of thousands of hours playing Firefight with friends, as it was just a fun, low-stress way to enjoy the solid gameplay of Halo. Now, there are many people who prefer ODST's Firefight experience to Reach's, and I understand why. ODST's vanilla Firefight experience feels more intense, I would say. But that being said, Halo Reach's Firefight mode is still great fun, and it allows you to replay some of the iconic moments from the campaign. But more excitingly though, the customization options for multiplayer carried over into Firefight, which allowed fans to create whatever experience they wanted. I remember when I was in high school, I created a hardcore Firefight mode, where you had to rely on your teammates' loadout specializations in order to survive. It was great fun, and it made the game even more intense. But beyond even that, Bungie introduced PvP combat into the Firefight experience, as you could fight against your friends and one of them could join the Covenant, or you could join the Covenant and fight against your friends that way. All of this goes to show how Bungie was creating something truly special with Halo Reach, as they were trying to allow their fans to experience Halo in whatever way they wanted, whether it was in the competitive PvP experiences, the more fun, laid-back custom games, or the casual PvE cooperative experiences of Firefight. With all of this in mind, Halo Reach's multiplayer was many things. It may not have reached the heights of Halo 2 and Halo 3, but Halo Reach nonetheless stands as one of the best multiplayer experiences of the Xbox 360 generation. With incredible gameplay variety in maps and modes and near limitless customization options, Halo Reach was a truly special experience that few shooters, if any, have been able to match to this day. As you could probably tell from the last section in discussing options for Firefight and multiplayer, it's very clear that customization and freedom was a major focus for Bungie with Halo Reach. As such, they gave some of the most powerful fan tools available, possibly in any game ever made. Halo Reach's fan tools of Theater, Forge, and FileShare gave fans the ability to craft their own Halo experiences. And this level of player freedom was revolutionary when the game came out, and few, if any, games have ever matched it to this day. Bungie knew that Halo Reach was going to be their last Halo game, and as such, they poured out every last bit of creativity into the Halo franchise with Reach. More importantly, though, they gave fans the tools to continue creating their own experiences after Bungie was gone. The mode customization options alone that I discussed in the previous section were far above other shooters of that time and of the modern day as well. However, Bungie went even further and created one of the most powerful and intuitive map editors ever made for a console game. Now, I have to be honest here. I cannot appreciate Forge to the fullest, because I was never as interested in Forge and creating Forge maps. Some of my friends were, but even they were not into Forge to the extent that some of the true Forge masters, if you will, were at that time. So while I personally cannot appreciate the creative power that Forge gave to people, I can still appreciate it as a fan of Halo. And I have a great appreciation for all of the different creations that people spent hours and hours building. Whether it was awesome custom maps that eventually got added to the multiplayer playlists, Forge artwork, or some of the goofy custom game maps. Possibly one of the coolest Forge maps that I ever played on was a race map that was a recreation of a Jawa sandcrawler from Star Wars. It was great stuff, and I had a lot of fun goofing around on that map with my friends. But Bungie didn't stop there. They went on to bring back the theater mode from Halo 3, where anyone could capture their favorite moments. I think now we don't appreciate features like theater quite as much, because now with both the Xbox and the PlayStation, you have built-in record and share features right onto the controller. But back in 2010, this wasn't nearly as popular, as social media had not quite taken off to the extent that it has today. As such, the theater mode was an invaluable tool that players could use to share their own moments, and then share them directly in the game, with the file share function, again returning from Halo 3. All of this comes together, the custom game options, Forge, Theater, File Share, and it shows that Bungie was finally able to make what they had always wanted to make with Halo. A fun party game where all players could play, laugh, and create and share their favorite moments in the game. I hope I've been able to impress upon you just how ambitious a title Halo Reach was back in 2010 when it came out. But Bungie still outdid themselves. Sure, they created an incredible campaign and multiplayer, but they went above and beyond and paid attention to the smallest of details that make this game a joy to play. From small things like in-game details, such as armor ability colors that show up on individual Spartans when you play, or assassinations that look slick and work and aren't game-breakingly janky. These all point to how Bungie was trying to create a truly immersive experience. But beyond just the gameplay itself, the detail throughout the game is present everywhere. One of the places this is the most obvious is the personal customization system that they implemented. The ability to customize your Spartan was straightforward and felt empowering, as it rewarded you for playing the game, regardless of the way you wanted to play it, as you could level up and earn credits whether you were playing campaign or playing the multiplayer. And all of these armor sets looked really cool, and they were clearly going for quality over quantity, unlike some other games. Halo 5. This system of personal customization is something we will most likely never have again, at least not in the way that Halo Reach did it. This was before the day of microtransactions being rampant in every game, and seeing how Microsoft has become a greedy and incompetent company, we will probably never see any simple but powerful and fun system like this ever again in a Halo game. And that makes looking back on Halo Reach all the more bittersweet. And all of these systems, whether it's the personal customization or all of the different modes you can play throughout the game, are tied together with possibly the most intuitive user interface system ever made in a video game. And it is far superior to the weird mobile phone Netflix style layouts we see of a lot of modern games. The UI is created in such a way that it makes getting to what you want very simple, and it doesn't make navigating through the menus a chore. And it shows also how social features were at the core of the game, as when your friends were online, you could see exactly what they were doing in game, what their rank was, and then you could go into their player profile and look up more about them. And it made inviting friends to whatever activity you were doing far easier. So this just goes to show how, again, even in the smallest of things, such as the UI system, Halo Reach was so far and above so much of what we have today. And no discussion of a Bungie Halo game would be complete without talking about the soundtrack. Marty, once again, absolutely killed it for this game, and the tracks capture the more serious military theme of the game, while also filling the player with the emotion of the eventual loss of the planet, all while staying true to that classic Halo sound. All of these details come together to fully complete the game, and make it the memorable experience that it is. And it must be said that all of this content worked at launch. The campaign worked. The multiplayer worked. Theater and Forge worked and didn't crash. Of course, there were some bugs that did get patched with some updates that came later, but on day one, you could enjoy all of this content that the game had to offer, and you didn't have to worry about disconnecting from Xbox Live or the game crashing constantly, which is a phenomenon far too common in modern games today. All of this speaks to a level of polish that Bungie put into this game, and even all of these years later, it remains one of the greatest first-person shooter games of all time.
Good, but all sections brace for cast-off.
If you've stayed with me for this long, thank you. I would guess that you too probably have fond memories of Halo Reach, like myself. Halo Reach will always be a special game to us. I once said to a friend that Halo is like a childhood playground. It's a small window into a time in our lives when things were less stressful, before we had to deal with college, the awful job market, relationship problems, kids, or any of the other myriad of challenges that we as millennials and Gen Z now face, here in the United States and around the world. While we can't go back to that simpler time in our lives, fortunately, we can revisit our virtual playgrounds like Halo Reach. And thanks to the Master Chief Collection, we can even relive some of the online multiplayer experiences that the game gave us. And by revisiting the older Halo games like Halo Reach through the MCC, or by plugging in an old Xbox 360 console and playing the classic disc-based version of the game, we can be reminded not just of the simpler time in our lives, but also of that lost era of gaming, when games like Halo Reach could be released. A game where you can have a compelling campaign, a game where you can fiercely compete in online multiplayer, and then sit back and laugh and enjoy the more casual game modes. A game where you have the freedom to create your own experiences and then share them with your friends. While many games have tried, few games have come close to offering what Halo Reach was able to offer us. And it is for these reasons that 15 years later, we remember Reach. Thanks for watching.